This is a 5-minute warning, folks. 5-minute warning. Start trying to make yourselves comfortable and find a place to sit. We'll try this with the microphone because nobody was listening to me in person. Feel free to move to your left a little bit. Move to the left. Spread out. There's more food over to the left. Move left. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's get this party started, shall we? My name is Chris Jansen. I am the Senior Vice President Academic here at Algonquin College. And in that role, I am thrilled to welcome you to the official launch of the ever-growing AC Online. We are now officially live. And hello to all of our online viewers. Please note that we are broadcasting live. There's a camera just down the aisle, so as you're wandering around a little bit later, please pay attention to where the camera is so you're not blocking everything. AC Online has evolved from what was previously known as the Center for Continuing Online Learning. Algonquin College has been involved in bringing distance education to its learners since the inception of correspondence courses dating back decades. This new campus will focus exclusively on online delivery modes, while face-to-face continuing education courses continue to be offered in support of our learners. Those will now be administered along with the other face-to-face programs in their respective schools and faculties. Our acting dean, Sarah Monroe, will tell you more about that shortly. So, today we are here to honor and celebrate the extraordinary accomplishments and achievements of our Center for Continuing Online Learning employees and learners as they step forward to become AC Online. Without you, our staff and learners, we would not be here today celebrating the launch of an exclusively online campus. Thank you. And now, if I seem a little bit distracted, what I should point out to you is, yes, this is me with a tan. I have just come back from holiday. Got back at about 10:30 this morning into the office, and I'm thrilled to be here as this is my first day back at work. I could not think of a better way to start this off. There are a couple of housekeeping notes. During the keynote a bit later, you're welcome to take pictures. However, we do ask that you please refrain from using a flash if you choose to do so. And for those of you that care to partake in the social media, use the hashtag ACOnlineGetsLaunched. All one word, ACOnlineGetsLaunched. I'm hoping it's going to show up on the screen at some point. Oh, there we go. All right. And now, the last housekeeping thing. I know you see food quite literally hanging over your head. So if you could, take a few moments, find somebody with a pair of scissors. Remember, don't run with scissors. Cut down some food that looks to be of your taste. Settle in for a wonderful program. So stand up, grab some scissors, grab some food, and then settle back in. There are a couple of them you'll need to find a tall buddy for. If I could, I should also point out for folks that didn't notice, there's some lovely water over on the table to your right. All right. It looks like folks have settled in and got some good food and having some good conversation, but let's get back to the party. And oh, by the way, Claude, I expect a party like this every time I come back from holiday. This is lovely. I appreciate it. So we have a few speakers for you today, and our first guest is Sarah Monroe, the acting dean for our new AC Online campus. Yay! Before coming to Algonquin College, Sarah had experience in various educational settings. She held positions such as Manager of Distance Learning and Director of Technology and Learning Innovation. Sarah has been with the college for just under, 3 years? 3 years now, and during her time has had a rather profound impact. She has held the position of academic chair at Perth campus, and then added part of the ACE portfolio to her duties. And then this past August, she took on the role as the acting dean of the Center for Continuing and Online Learning as it prepared to become AC Online. And as acting dean since this past August, Sarah has scooped up this initiative and given it as much care and love as if it were her very own. To say Sarah is skilled in leading a team would certainly be an understatement, as she has seen this project through with a passion that should be admired. Please welcome Sarah to the podium.
Thank you, Chris. Wow, thanks everybody. That's a hard thing to live up to. Thank you for joining us here today at the official launch of AC Online. It's truly an honor to share this exciting event and occasion with you. And the fact that you're all here and our event sold out in under 24 hours really speaks volumes about the support and the community that Algonquin College is behind this. So thank you again. A lot of people have asked what's different about AC Online and why an online campus. So the reality is I usually just point to Patrick's name on the door and tell him it was his crazy idea, that I just inherited it. But all joking aside, AC Online is a very special part of Algonquin College. The opportunities and access to post-secondary education that online learning provides is life-changing for many people. It represents access, growth, independence, and success for so many learners for whom going to college might otherwise be impossible. An online campus even further legitimizes that pathway and will continue to position AC and as a leader in this sector both provincially and nationally. That's the why of AC Online. The difference of AC Online is quite simple. If I could please ask all the AC Online staff to please raise their hands and keep them up for a moment. The hands of the people that you see now is the AC Online difference. The staff of this department is the reason why we're here today, and who will we become tomorrow? There are over 45 people who work quietly in the background, making magic happen in the learners' lives every single day. That's the part of online learning that most people don't see. In the dedicated team that are here today, there's front office staff, there's student success specialists, there's exam coordinators, pathway and program officers, managers, instructional designers, educational media specialists, facilitators, subject matter experts, and so many more that I can't even mention. When a learner comes to AC Online, they may come through a phone call or a computer chat conversation initially, but they quickly become a name and a person with this dedicated group that you saw. This is our difference, and the reason why we continue to lead in enrollment and registration. Without the impressive and coordinated efforts of these folks, learners would not have the services that they have today. For that, I want to thank this team and recognize them here today as we step forward in the future together. Please give a round to the staff of AC Online. So with that, I realize I'm what's standing between you and the rest of the event. So as we get this rolling, I want to send a very special shout out and thank you to Dan Rascal Productions for the work done on our new AC Online commercial. Thank you.
What if learning was designed to fit your life, to let you have your cake and eat it too? Well, if you're looking for a sign, this is it. The world is changing, you're changing, and we're changing too. So when you're ready to reach, achieve, and transform, so are we. Anytime, anywhere.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to each and every one of the AC Online team. You really are an amazing group. Our second guest today will be Claude Brulé. Claude is somebody had to say it. Claude is the 9th president and CEO of Algonquin College and earned this title in 2019, the 20th year of his tenure at Algonquin College. Claude's focus on our learners has been evident through the entire time of his tenure, in many ways, including making changes to remove many obstacles to academic achievement and make it possible for over 19,000 and 25,000 continuing education students to have an amazing education here at Algonquin College. During his time as my predecessor as Senior Vice President Academic, Claude guided the development of the college's learner-driven strategy, which is reimagining personalized learning at the college. AC Online will play a very large role in helping to achieve those goals. Claude is devoted to Algonquin College's mission to transform hopes and dreams into lifelong success, and that can be seen clearly in the daily leadership he provides to the entire college. So please help me in welcoming Claude Brulé to the podium.
Thank you, Chris. What an awesome day. It's not every day you launch a new campus, so that's probably why we're doing all of this pizzazz. And I love the imagination that runs through Sophia's mind, as this is Sophia Boris, by the way, our events manager. So shout out to her and her team, and yes. And everyone who stepped on a chair or ladder earlier to help put this together. It's wonderful effort. So good afternoon, everybody. I want to really thank you all for being here for this special announcement. And first, I want to acknowledge the tremendous work that's been done by a number of people to make this campus a reality, in fact, a virtual reality, if we could say. Please join me in congratulating people that we've already mentioned, but Patrick Devey, who's the Dean of AC Online, as we now call it, and Sarah Monroe, the acting Dean right now of AC Online. And I also want to recognize the departments and their leaders who have worked tirelessly behind the scene to make this happen. So we've got Lois Pollock and the digital team. So I'm not sure if Lois is here. Members of her team, if she can wave. Thank you very much. Yes? Alana McDonnell and the marketing team as well. Thank you. And Krista Pearson and her team in the registrar's office. Thank you. It's easy to dismiss something that you can't see. An online campus clearly isn't the same thing as a brick and mortar campus. And just because something is out of sight doesn't mean that it's out of mind. In fact, for Algonquin College, all things digital, all things online have been on our mind since the 1990s. When I first started at the college, back at the Rideau campus on Lees Avenue, we were dabbling with online learning at the time. So it's been with us for some time, and it's been baked into our last 3 strategic plans at the college. And it continues to be an evolution of us and our digital reality and how we connect with people near and far of our physical campuses. We're leaders in digital learning, and that's why we're recognized as a college of choice for personalized learning and online learning. Just last year, Algonquin College was ranked first in online enrollments across all colleges and cégeps in Canada, based on the 2018 National Survey of Online and Digital Learning in Canada. So that's a momentous testimony to the tremendous work that everyone's doing at the college to position us for this leadership role across Canada. Now we're going to cement this achievement not only by providing the quality and the variety of courses that our learners have come to expect, but also the support they need to be successful. For the moment that a learner contacts us, and you've heard this from Sarah, whether it's by email, by phone, to the moment that they graduate, they'll receive the same support as someone who is studying at any of our other campuses. And we won't stop there. Using new technologies such as more interactive elements and custom videos content, we will enrich our offerings and give our online learners all the tools they need to launch or enhance their careers. Now, I want to take you for a moment into a world of scenarios that for many people is real. Give you some example. So imagine that you're a busy entrepreneur and you're working from dawn to dusk and sometimes beyond to keep your business thriving. It's highly likely that you won't be able to leave your work to attend classes without risking your business. Or imagine that you're a single parent without affordable childcare or adequate transportation to get you to and from classes. You want to upgrade your skills to provide for a better life for your child, but you cannot leave him or her behind, or you may not be able to get to campus to attend classes. Or imagine that you've had a long career and have given many years of service to an employer, and the only thing that stands between you and that promotion and that pay raise is an additional qualification. But it's impossible for you to take that course because it's happening during your work hours. And finally, imagine that you're a shift worker who's dreaming of a different work environment for yourself or perhaps your family. And you can attend some classes, but not others because of your shift work. And traveling to campus becomes impossible for you. So this is where we come in, and that's where we want to be able to assist all of these people, to give them options, to give them help to become the person that they know they're capable of becoming. And we want to give them a chance. In fact, that's why our colleges were founded more than 50 years ago in Ontario, and they're designed to give people that, a chance. And whether it was women wanting to retrain or join the workforce, military people returning from duties overseas and wanting a different career, or those who found a better career path than the one they had and wanted to continue to pursue that. Educational technology experts Ilyat Masih, the person who is thought to have coined the word e-learning, has said that educators need to bring learning to people instead of people to learning. In other words, meet people where they are. And that's just what our online campus will do by offering courses to students when and where they want to learn, whether it's overseas, in the middle of the night, or whether they need to learn quickly, or whether they need more time to acquire the skills and knowledge. It will open new doors to those who were previously struggling to find educational options to suit their lifestyle by giving them an alternative that fits their life, no matter who they are or their circumstances. So when you bring learning to people, you also eliminate barriers to education. Our online campus is not only providing personalized education, but it's providing access where none previously existed for some people. I think that's a reality and a world we're lucky to live in. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our final guest before our keynote speaker today, Jeremy Roberts. He is a member of Provincial Parliament for Ottawa West Nepean and is no stranger to Algonquin College. Born and raised in Ottawa, he's been a long-time community volunteer and has devoted much of his time in elected office to advocating on behalf of caregivers and individuals with developmental disabilities. He has served as Vice Chair of the Finance Committee and since last summer as Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services. I'd like to thank him for taking the time out of his busy schedule to be here with us today. Please join me in welcoming Jeremy Roberts. Jeremy.
Well, thank you so much, Claude, for that wonderful introduction and for your words. It's wonderful to be here with all of you today. This actually isn't the first time I've seen popcorn and M&Ms dangled. Occasionally, when my staff need to get me out of bed for a really early morning meeting, they'll dangle one of those outside my window to lure me out. But kidding aside, you know, Chris was mentioning when he started his remarks that we may notice he has a tan. He's just gotten back from holidays. I also might have a tan, but it's more of a windburn. I just got back recently from beautiful Sioux Lookout, which for those of you who don't know is one of our communities in Northern Ontario. It's one of the gateways to Northern Ontario, and I was up there touring around, visiting some of the Indigenous health centers and hearing about some of the challenges in Northern Ontario. And I think there's a wonderful connection between what's happening here today and some of that experience I just recently had. And that's because one of the beautiful pieces of this new online campus is going to be how it allows so many more people across this province to access everything that Algonquin has to offer and to access those learning opportunities, become networked in, and become part of that wonderful Algonquin College alumni network. You know, when I travel around the province, I've told this story before at Algonquin. Claude's going to think I'm starting to repeat myself, but people will often ask me, you know, Jeremy, so you're a member of Provincial Parliament from Ottawa. Does your riding have the Parliament buildings? No, not quite. Does your riding have the Ottawa Senators Stadium? No, not quite. And then I tell them what my riding has is we have Algonquin College. That's the anchor here in Ottawa West Nepean. And the number of times people say, oh my gosh, I have a cousin, a nephew, a friend, or I myself went to Algonquin, and it has such a stellar reputation straight across the province for innovating, for taking those next steps to make sure that they are staying on the forefront of learning and knowledge here in the province. Every time I have a minister who happens to be visiting Ottawa, I love to bring them to Algonquin and to see the Dare District, to go over and visit the ACE construction unit, to see the wonderful work that's being done over in the animation studio. And so I'm thrilled that through this initiative, we're going to allow more people to be able to access this Algonquin community and all that it has to offer. Thus, I commend all the team here, particularly Sarah and Patrick, for leading this initiative, and to all of you that have been part of it. I can't wait to see how successful it is over the next little while. And to each of you, thank you for being here today to celebrate the launch of AC Online. Without further ado, I guess we'll pass it back to Chris so we can hear from our keynote. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Claude. Thank you, Jeremy. We're on to the keynote. And so I get the honor of introducing the speaker today. And trust me, this is going to be good. I was given permission to shorten this introduction. I'm not going to do that. Because I tell you, when I was preparing for this and reading through the introduction, this is impressive. So, Nicholas Badminton is a world-renowned futurist, researcher, and media celebrity. He has worked with amazing clients, including the United Nations, NASA, UK Home Office, the Government of Canada, United Way, Google, Microsoft, Rolls-Royce, Discover, HSBC, Heineken, Procter & Gamble. That whole vacation thing just keeps coming back up. AT&T, Young Professionals Organization, YPO, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, IDEO, Singularity University, and hundreds more. Nicholas has advised Robert Downey Jr.'s team for the Age of AI documentary series, starred in Smart Drugs, a futurist's journey into biohacking, and features on CTV, Global News, and Sirius XM regularly. His mind-expanding research and opinion has also been featured globally on BBC, Vice, The Atlantic, Fast Company, TechCrunch, Business Insider, Huffington Post, Forbes, Sputnik, and Venture Beat. He is also writing a chapter for a 2021 book called The Future Starts Now. Expect insights into the future of business, technology, and society for Bloomsbury. This is really cool. I could sit and listen to these stories all day, and so I cannot wait to hear what you've got in store for us. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris. Sounds like a hell of a vacation. Rolls-Royce and Heineken. And we wonder where you went. Okay. It's a real pleasure to be here. I actually wouldn't be here if it wasn't for education systems. I grew up in the UK, and I didn't do very well at school, to be honest. In fact, I left school at the age of 16 with no qualifications, really. I was a bit of a rebel. I didn't really agree with a lot of what I was being taught, all the methods. After a couple of years, my parents were like, look, you're good at computers. You're a pretty smart guy. Would you like us to help you go to college? So I went to college, a college very much like Algonquin. So I went there and I worked really hard. Then I went on to university and studied applied psychology and computing, where I studied artificial intelligence and linguistics and organizational psychology, which was like a precursor for what I do today as a futurist. That was back in the 90s. And what's really interesting is that all the way through my 25-plus year career, I've always delved back into online education as being something for continuous learning. So it's really, really important what we're doing here at Algonquin and what we're going to provide online. I've even written online courses. It's not easy to do this. If you've got a great idea, you want to volunteer and get involved, get involved. Becoming an educator is one of the greatest things that I've ever done. And as a futurist, I help people look out 5, 10, 20 years into the future now, which builds on my background of 25 years of business and technical strategy. And this presentation is called A Brave New World, because as we stare into the future, nothing is certain. And to really shape what the future is going to be, to try and understand what jobs are going to exist, and to try and understand our own personal places in that future, we have to have a huge sense of bravery. Now, when I was 8 years old, I read a book called The Usborne Book of the Future. And it's kind of prophetic of my father to give me this book, and suddenly I was reading about space rockets and lunar colonies and all sorts of amazing ideas from everyone from like Raytheon and Boeing and Arthur C. Clarke, the author. And it really inspired me. And that sense of wondering about the future never left me. About 8 or 9 years ago, I started organizing conferences on the future. It wasn't really a done thing so much back then on a small scale in Canada. But people were flying from all over the world to the conferences I was putting on. There was a conversation to be had. And the conversation was really about what Sarah started with. What if? What if we entertain ideas about what the future could be, of what we could be, about how we can affect the world? What if those changes are going to come and reshape the world entirely? And that's what I do for a job. I invite people in, organizations, governments, executives, everyone from like small communities to trillion-dollar companies, to ask the question, what if? And this keynote's going to hopefully prime you with some ideas around the signals of change that I see happening around the world that show us that the world's going to change. And what if they catch fire? But I'm going to start with the Industrial Revolution. It's about 260 years ago. Evolution and revolution in energy, transportation, and logistics has really changed everything. The communications that fed into that as well, everything from the printing press and coal and the first steam locomotives through to where we are today, has shaped the $100 trillion global economy as we see it. But I like to start in the 1900s, right at the beginning. Electricity was the first thing that truly changed the world, I think, on a wide scale. It's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. We can't really survive without it. Imagine a world without electricity. Imagine a world without cars. This picture was taken in 1914. I've also got another picture that I'm not showing here, which is of 1900, and it's just a street full of horses and one car. And do you know what the people that own the horses said? It's like, we just need more horses. Well, Henry Ford had a very different idea of what the future of the world was going to be, right? In just 13, 14 years, there's no horses. Can you see any horses in this picture? And then obviously the late 60s come. Can we put a man on the moon? What if we put a man on the moon? How will the world change? What innovations will we find as we start looking at communications, energy, transportation in the realm of lunar travel? And we're still exploring that as well. And NASA's hoping to build a colony there. And Canada's stepping up to the plate as well. It's hugely exciting. But the thing that I find truly exciting is this man. This is a guy called Douglas Engelbart. In 1968, he did a demonstration called the Mother of All Demos. It was down at Stanford University. 2,000 people in an auditorium watched him show the very first use of something he invented called the mouse, hypertext linking, video conferencing, desktop publishing. And do you know what the computer industry said? No one's going to have a computer at home. Right? Were they right? What if everyone had a computer at home? They didn't ask the question early enough. And today we've got the internet. Not many people see this picture of the internet. The internet is cables under the sea that connect the world. It's not magic, even though internet entrepreneurs would tell you that it's just magic, don't worry, right? But this interconnected world is incredible to me. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers of cable connect all of us around the world. And this is going to be something that's hugely important for the progress of humanity. Interconnection, information at the speed of light. But now we've got this paradox. The $100 trillion global economy has been built off the back of fossil fuels. And we're kind of in this challenging time. You know, climate change, the planet is warming. There's a lot of energy and time being put into thinking about reducing emissions and finding new ways to generate energy. And that's led us into this new industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution. So digitized communications and biology, renewable energy, and automated transportation and logistics. And everything's on steroids. Everything's going faster than ever before. Hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs around the world are working in these arenas to try and innovate. People at colleges like Algonquin are going to be people that drive us forward in this fourth industrial revolution. And this is where we start our journey in this keynote, is to ask what if? What if we encourage renewables? What if we move to a world where oil and fossil fuels disappears? This is an illustration by Kyle Burkhardt. And he says, 2030, some people are saying that oil's going to only be like $10 a barrel. What does that do to the Canadian economy? What does that do to the global economy? What does that do to the power dynamics? The next 10 years is the most essential decade that we've seen to date in transformation of the world. This is an illustration. This is a little bit of foresight, a little bit of futurism to look out. But he was literally saying, what if 150 plus countries around the world started changing how they thought about energy? This is the future that we're going to look towards. We're going to look towards onshore wind, offshore wind, solar, tidal power. We're already seeing some of the effects. Go down to Australia. Tesla put in one of their significant battery packs down there, working with the Hornsdale wind farm. What's absolutely fascinating is that it cost about 90 million Australian dollars to build. And in the first round of money that they got back was a third of that. And now they're looking to return almost all the money they've invested within 2.5 years. It's incredible, right? Exponential change. Places like Agua Caliente down in Yuma, Arizona, they're planning to displace 220,000 tons of CO2 annually whilst providing abundant renewable energy. Geothermal energy. Sometimes I go to Alberta, and it's incredibly fun doing this presentation there, as you can imagine. But what's interesting, and I've been doing it for about 5 years, it's a tough conversation because Canada's become very, very wealthy and very strong off the back of fossil fuels. But we do have the opportunity for a new future. I mean, they're going into solar, but there's something that lies underneath Alberta and much of Canada, geothermal. We can tap into it. Do we know how to drill into geothermal layers? Yes, we do. Do we know how to build technology? Yes, we do. So that's a huge opportunity. This is actually a map from a study that was done by google.org. And they're actually looking at new ways of divining that geothermal energy. It's a huge potential. But going along with all of this energy generation potential in a renewable fashion is batteries, the storage. Sun doesn't always shine, especially at night, right? Or in British Columbia, where I lived for 11 years, for about 3/4 of the year. But the cost of batteries is going down exponentially. It's going to be incredibly cheap to put battery infrastructure at home, in your cities, at the college, everywhere. And this is the future. If you remember the picture of the internet I showed you earlier, interconnected, cables all around the world. Do the same thing for electricity. This is an illustration of what people are thinking the future of renewable energy generation and global interconnected energy supergrids are going to be like. And we're already seeing some signals of change happen. No, in Asia, they're already looking at the Asian supergrid. In the North Sea region, Norway and the UK and other European countries are connecting together to use that offshore wind generation capability to share, cheap renewable energy. And I just read a report in the past week or so that they're actually running cable from Australia to Singapore to do exactly the same thing. So we're already starting to see these signals of change that are going to change how we look at energy entirely. This is probably 2050, 2060. That's a lot of infrastructure to build, right? Just think about it. About 92, 93, the internet really started taking off. It's taken this long to get to where we are today, which is ubiquitous communication. I think that it's going to follow a similar path for energy. Okay, on to the second part. What if transportation evolves? Who drives an electric car in the room? Who even owns a car in the room, right? We're at college. Who drives an electric car in the room? Yeah? There's always one, so that's cool. Solidarity. Solidarity. And do you know what? When I go, it could be a room of 500 people, and there'll be 3 people at the back, right? This is my car, the second on the left. It's called Ziggy, because it's like flying a spaceship. It's a Chevrolet Bolt. But what's interesting is I took this picture about 18 months ago in Vancouver in Pacific Center. An Audi, a Chevy, a BMW, and a Kia. All electric or hybrid electric plug-in vehicles. It's coming quickly, right? Electric vehicle infrastructure is coming quickly. We're even seeing gas stations putting cross-Canada links for being able to charge your car. It's getting a lot easier to own an electric vehicle. Trust me, it's hard owning an electric vehicle in Ontario, but it's getting easier, right? In the future, most of you in the room, if you choose to own a car, it will be electric. Why? It's just better. I'm not even going to get into whether it's cleaner or not. It's just faster, it's got more torque, it's way more fun to drive. And do you know what? You get home and you just plug it in the wall and you never have to go to a gas station ever again. It's a beautiful thing. But it's going everywhere in industry. These signals of change are showing us that, trucking is changing. That's the Tesla Semi. Up here on the top right is an electric car ferry in Norway, 100% electric. Bottom left, and this is a funny story, this is a Chinese shipping container ship. Goes up and down the Yangtze, 40 miles up, offloads its load, charges up for 2 hours, 40 miles down. Ironically, it takes coal up the Yangtze as well. You can't make this up sometimes. But in China as well, they're replacing all of their municipal transportation with electric buses. They're rolling out about 6,000 to 7,000 buses every 4 or 5 weeks right now. It's incredible. What's also incredible are the new companies that come into front. Rivian, that's coming up with the first truck, was actually heavily invested in by Amazon. Why? Because they've just asked for 100,000 delivery trucks that are fully electric. And UPS and other delivery companies are going this way. And automated vehicles are coming as well. Now, this is the future of trucking. It doesn't have a driver, controlled remotely, and also with autonomous driving capabilities. Platooning down highways and lanes that are 100% just for the use of vehicles like this. This is happening in Scandinavia. Look to Scandinavia for a lot of the signals of change of how the world's actually transforming. They're smaller countries, they can take more risks, and they're actually really, really good at this stuff. And this is autonomous plane, right? Flying cars. I still like to call them planes. They still look like planes. But this is a company called Cora down in New Zealand that's heavily invested in by Larry Page from Google. But there's lots of these companies out there that are trying to rethink how we get around in the world. Especially Elon Musk, right? He lands rockets, takes rockets, fires them into space, lands the rockets, reuses the rockets, completely changed the space industry. Completely changed the transportation industry as well. Who would have thought? When I saw Commander Chris Hadfield speak a couple of years ago, he said, this is an entirely new paradigm. This is where everything changes. Imagine in the future, we need to go from London to Tokyo, and we need to do it faster than we've ever done it before. You could take off in London in one of these on a clear day and land in Tokyo 45 minutes later, suborbital travel. What if that was our future, right? It's like the new Concorde, right? What if communication accelerates, though? We build on top of this. Well, we've already talked about the internet. We're pretty lucky. We've got pretty much ubiquitous coverage here, but if you look down South America into Africa, Indonesia, and places like that, you don't have coverage everywhere, right? But these are the next 2, 3, 4 billion users that are going to come online. And do you know what's really poignant about that? Is that these are people that could be students at Algonquin College, right? Isn't that incredible? To have students from all over the world enjoying the courses here, interacting with the lecturers, and working with the students to just be so much more in the world. I think that's pretty incredible. And when we think about online education, a few years ago it was still pretty nascent and it was just getting there, but today we're moving faster than ever. The e-learning market is just rocketing in size. 2014, 165 billion. And 2022, $243 billion in size globally. And more people are joining and finishing the courses that they start than ever before. And you've got greater control of your own learning. More engaging content. You can get connected to the people that you're learning from and learning with. And you can have more frequent assessments. It's like a revolution in education. So what's fantastic about being here and being part of this launch is to really celebrate that this is a new frontier of education and everything changes. But everything changes with smartphones. Does anyone in the room does not have a smartphone? Right? I'm glad. Sometimes when I go to conferences, there's one guy at the back who's like, no. It's like, you work in cybersecurity, right? He goes, yep. It's very telling. I speak to cybersecurity audiences as well. Half the audience is like, no, we don't go near it. But about 6 billion smartphones in the world by the end of this year. That's more people with access to mobile communications, whether it's borrowed phones or phones that they own. They can start businesses, do online education, connect their families to the world, and change the way that they think about communication with people anywhere. And part of that is social media, right? What's interesting, when I first started presenting this image, this is from Facebook, we probably all know. This is the life cycle of a relationship, right? I like you, I love you, I laugh with you. Wow, that's incredible. You make me very sad, or you make me very angry. This is psychologically planned in social media, by the way. But it's gripped us. More people than ever use social media. You're probably all connected. You probably share content. There's a hashtag for this event. Feel free to share. But then, what if the world was going to level up and change and we stopped looking at these rectangles in our pockets? Kind of seems a little silly to look down all the time. What if we suddenly put these augmented reality glasses on our heads? This is a Magic Leap 1. Pretty amazing. You can see images in front of us. And half the audience might not be here. They might just be holograms. That's pretty cool. What if suddenly this just feels like a normal pair of glasses? What if the future ends up being a little bit too busy? And next I'm going to show you a video by a guy called Keiichi Matsuda, who wrote a little piece of speculative fiction. He went down to Medellin, Colombia, took a bunch of footage of a story of a woman that was immersed in this augmented reality world. And what would that be like? Well, it's a world with cascading information, useful and otherwise, and her entire life is a game.
Estoy presente ahora. Me amo. Estoy libre de mi ira. Estoy libre de mi tristeza. El amor es mi instrumento.
Habla español. Adiós. Olá, me chamo Maria.
Bueno. Hola otra vez.
So that's a video. It's about 12 minutes long. Go and watch it. It's a Keiichi Matsuda Hyper Reality. Do go and watch it. It's kind of dystopian view of what the world could be like. If you've ever been to Times Square in New York, it kind of feels like that, but constantly attached to your head. But maybe it's not so different from the world that we're attached to when we look down into the rectangle in our pocket. And then we're headed into a world, the trillion sensor economy, sensors in everything from floor mats to screens to the lights to the streets that we drive on, the buildings that we're in, the data that we use, the services that we use. This trillion sensor economy is promising so much in terms of efficiency and reduced waste and an ability to run the world more operationally efficient. But who are we as humans in the middle of this ecosystem? Are we just the product, or do we have a position in there that's useful and we can own our own data? That's a huge question right now. That brings us to talk about biology. This is something that's sort of come into the fourth industrial revolution as an additional dimension in a way. Now, I've put this together with communications because I think the two are inextricably linked. The Genome Project was one of the most important things, I think, that's happened in the last 100 years. And now it is cheaper to sequence the genome than ever before. And at times of crisis like pandemics or disease or really pushing forward to develop new pharmaceuticals or to look at new ways of treating people, sequencing the genome has been something that's been invaluable. It will continue to accelerate. And suddenly, the ability to have a health assistant strapped to our wrist is coming. Even like the Apple Watch is starting to get closer and closer to FDA approval, right? In a number of different ways. incredibly useful. When they came out with a new version last year, the amount of my friends that went and bought their parents a new phone, Apple phone, and an Apple Watch because they wanted to keep an eye on them was incredible. I'm talking about at least a dozen of my friends. Not only is it good business, it's actually good for the health of people. Now, I'm not endorsing Apple. Any smartwatch is good, right? But really starting to look at capturing that data and using it is really interesting in the modern world. But then we've got genetic editing, looking at CRISPR-Cas9. Can we edit out diseases from who we are? And they've just started using this on humans. And it's an incredibly exciting world. But what happens when we start to look at changing the way that we work and work becomes bionic, right? And what do I mean by bionic? We're in a world where financial and resource and human capital shaped our industrial revolutions. And today, it's around beacon capital, behavior, cognitive, and network capital, the collection and modeling of data that tracks the behavior of people, the set of algorithms that we can tap into for cognitive capital, and the set of connection points that's the network that binds us all together. Who uses this new model of beacon capital effectively? Companies like this. We've got 5 companies here that are worth collectively about $5 trillion. It's going down slightly at the moment for some reason, right? But these are the companies that have mastered these new ways of behavioral, cognitive, and network capital in new ways. Modern business will work this way. When you're thinking about the future of jobs and what you're going to do, get good at all 3 of these. Because data's here. And no longer are we going to be the people that collect data and just write reports or build spreadsheets, even though some of you might love building spreadsheets, right? Secretly, or maybe not so secretly. We're living in the age of the wisdom economy. We're the people that will have automatic access to data that's been transcribed and translated for us so that we can very quickly turn that into knowledge and wisdom. And that real-time decision-making is really shaping the new world. And accelerating behind that is artificial intelligence, which is very good at very narrow problem solving at the moment. I don't think that robots are going to replace us entirely. I think some of the claims of hundreds of millions of jobs are disappearing aren't really that true, because I think that truly it's going to be a world of human and the machine. But here's a story of progress. 1997. Garry Kasparov looks incredibly excited here to have been beaten by one of the world's first chess-playing AI programs, Deep Blue, right? Completely beaten. He's just written a book, and he says that 96% of all jobs will be replaced by AI. I actually just think 100% of all chess players will be. 2011, it won Jeopardy! 2017, Google's AlphaGo beat the world champion Lee Sedol in South Korea 4-1 at playing Go. It's become completely unbeatable. In fact, Lee Sedol's actually retired now because there's someone that can beat him in the world, and he's never going to beat them, and it's the computer. And what's really interesting at this point is that how it was playing that game was intuitive and human, and they were the words that he used. So it's becoming more like us, but in a very narrow field. And obviously playing StarCraft, it's become more and more complicated in how it can operate. So you can apply machine learning, artificial intelligence methods in a number of different ways, from self-driving cars to the back office systems, maybe even to education itself. But really, to build out behavior and cognitive capital, we have to invest in the foundational, functional, and advanced data systems, right? How much do you use data? How savvy are you? Are you a data scientist? I think everyone should become a data scientist. But really, this is the human advantage, and this is why I think the future is human and the machine. Our abilities are going to be augmented by technology. We're going to level up, human 2.0, some say. But the network capital is exactly what we've got here, and exactly what we're building with Algonquin College Online. We're connecting the world. That network has got more strength than individuals standing on their own, right? So this beacon capital is really shaping everything. And this is what we're doing here. We've invested in the infrastructure, people, and time to increase network capital. That's what we're doing here today. We're launching this. It's cool. Algonquin College is a bionic company, which is a great thing. It's the right way to be. But with all of this change, what about exposure? Well, biological knowledge, computing power, data collection, exponential exposure, right? There's a challenge in this new world. Psychological and network effects come along with the bionic companies and that idea of behavioral, cognitive, and network capital working together to produce exposure. Cybersecurity is going to be something you're going to have to be aware of. Safety online, security online, ownership of data. I work with a professor in British Columbia, and he talks about the war on one. We're going to be virtualized. We're going to live in the cloud. Who's going to look after us? Well, we have to look after ourselves. So there's a little bit of a warning with this new world. But at the end of this presentation, I've got an invitation to you all to do what I do. What if we were all futurists? What if we develop some sort of muscle around using foresight to see into the future? Well, this presentation is already the beginning of that. And I've shown you a number of things that I call signals of change. But are they likely to change the world? I spend a lot of time thinking about that, asking myself questions. And this is something called Amara's law. Roy Amara said this: in the short term, we tend to overestimate the impact of technology. And you might think that that's what I've been doing today. But time and time again, we found that in the long term, we've completely underestimated the impact that's going to happen. Right? We've seen examples of companies that have really gotten it wrong. AT&T thought that cellular network technology wasn't going to really catch fire. It cost them a lot of money to get back in the game several years after it was really starting to gain pace. Right? As a futurist, we can use these really interesting, quite academic ways of looking at the world, preferable, plausible futures. I actually like to look at the preposterous future. Isn't it preposterous that over 100,000 people around the world will get a new coronavirus? Oh, wait, what? The black swan events are real and they might happen. We don't even see them coming. So we can look at all these different flavors of the future. And we can do some scenario building. We were talking about scenarios earlier. It was great. The setup for my talk was incredible. Scenarios are some of the most important things that we can sit down and work through. And I've got a very simple formula, right? Do some research, find the signals that interest you, and then say this: what if, in a future year, maybe it's 2030, maybe it's 2050, solutions X, Y, and Z are implemented, then these outcomes happen. And once you can tell these short stories, it can give you the inspiration to start thinking about how does that impact today? How does that broaden my thinking? And when I work with clients, I use this approach, and we use it for public engagement and improving their strategy and risk planning internally. And here's an example of a project I did a couple of years ago with YVR Airport over in Vancouver.
Plans for the future of YVR are taking shape. Our 2037 master plan is a blueprint for an airport that'll continue to reflect the best of BC. Sustainable, welcoming, and diverse. YVR will be a feast for the senses, a hive of activity and interaction, a business hub for entrepreneurs, and a unique retail experience that is second to none. Help shape the future of our world-class sustainable airport by attending public meetings and sharing your input online.
We originally started with 4 public meetings. Then word got out about this campaign. I'd written 5 science fiction stories and worked with a PR agency when we made these short films. We had to change it to 9 public meetings in 3 of the cities in the Lower Mainland. It's been used in multiple presentations, over 13 million impressions. Me and the CEO would go on TV and speak about the future, speculative future of YVR. They're not necessarily going to build the things that I wrote about in my future scenarios, but it inspired an exponential amount more people to come and engage with them to think about their role in the future. And it was so rewarding to be a part of that experience. And beyond that, you could write a short story like Minority Report that gets made into a Hollywood movie with Tom Cruise. You could write a graphic novel like Transmetropolitan that completely rethinks what the modern world looks like, from politics and religions, technology, what it looks like from every single angle. This guy's spied Jerusalem. He's a very angry journalist. Go and read it. Has anyone read the book in the room? Yeah, everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? Or Gattaca, one of my favorite science fiction movies of all time. What if we live in a future that belongs to the people that are genetically pure? What if we can engineer that? It's kind of scary, kind of dystopian. But these longer stories, I write longer science fiction novels as well, graphical novels actually. But then we still have to look at today. We still have to go from what if to what is. And this is the thing that captures all of us. And sometimes, no matter what we do to try and look out to the future, we still have to do the work that's in front of us. So this is kind of an approach that I've put together that helps people free themselves once in a while to step out of what is and back into what if. And it's my Futures Exploration Toolkit. And there's 3 prime principles to how I work. Humanity first, not technology first. Plurality, inclusion, and equity. Everyone's involved. Everyone's an equal actor. Everyone's got a role to play. Futures is plural. It's never singular. Scientific fact and creativity around the world and how that science and solutions are going to be applied. So yeah, you can go out and you can just look at signals of change. You might see it on the news. You might look at it online every day, read it in the paper. You might just find out about it through friends. Hypothetical scenarios. It doesn't take too long to do this. Spend a little bit of time. You'll be surprised how it makes your thinking about the current world better. Speculative fiction. If you really want to go further, write short stories, then turn them into graphic novels or longer novels. Right? We sometimes look at people like William Gibson as the people that saw the future. And then apply them across a number of different dimensions. Financial, organizational, regulatory, environmental, strategic, social, technical. And ask yourself, what are the opportunities and challenges? What are the ethical boundaries? How do we actually think about humans in the mix there? And once you've started to do this, you're basically a futurist, even if you just do this quickly. And that's my invitation to you. Step into the future. This is a brave new world. And when I sit down to think about new scenarios with my clients, and I come and think about what to present at keynotes like this at Algonquin College and the opportunities that you have, I think that I see bravery everywhere. And I thank you very much for attending my talk. And I'd like to entertain some questions. Thank you very much. I think there's a couple of microphones around here, I've been told. Yeah, a couple of microphones. Put your hand up if you've got a question. Okay, there's a question at the back over here. Okay, thank you. If you can tell me your name. I always like to know the names of people asking me questions. It's kind of a human thing.
Hello?
Hello.
My name is Mao.
Hi, Mao.
And I'm just wondering, what advice would you give to learners today?
What advice will I give learners today? Open your minds to all possibilities. Don't just look in the discipline that you're learning within. Look at the disciplines around it. Having a 360-degree view of the world is going to feed into whatever you're learning to give it that foundational element of knowledge that's really going to make your learning of that particular subject way, way better. When I was at school, that I didn't do very well at, I was learning all these things, just not the things that were in the classroom. And when I went back to college, I had a focus, but all the other things fed into that. That's the biggest advice I would give anyone today, yeah. And it's easier to do as well, right? Everyone's got a mobile phone in their pocket. Any other questions? There's a question over here. Is there another microphone over there? Oh, okay.
I'll be Vanna
Thank
White.
you, Alicia.
Hi, thank you. My name's Alex. I have a question, and it's based on some learning I did from another futurist, Alvin Toffler.
Oh, yes.
And it relates to our ability as humans to cope with this new information and changes to technology and culture.
Yeah.
The book was very Culture Shock.
Yes. Future Shock.
Future Shock, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Alvin Toffler, very famous futurist. Yeah.
And so I'm very curious about a word that you had in your presentation that relates to that. It was about exponential.
Yes.
The exponential growth or
Yes.
something like that. Humans are really not good at doing that. So what do you envision some of the means that we'll need to investigate or the approaches that we'll need to take for us as regular
humans
to deal with that?
Yeah. So exponential growth, the idea of exponential growth is that over time, we get faster and stronger, and we have more developments that we move faster than ever before. So exponential growth, we stand on each other's shoulders as we come up with new developments. So as we learn from each other, more development goes forward, and there's a much greater momentum to the future. So once we put one man in space, it was a lot easier to put more people into space, and then more people onto the moon, and then to land a rocket. That's an exponential change, right? Or mobile phones is another example, right? How do we deal with it as humans? I actually think that we're getting better, because what we're doing is we're learning from the empirical evidence and all of the learning that's come before us, and building on top of that. Because that's getting greater, our ability to step forward more freely, more bravely, and in bigger leaps, it gets a lot easier over time. And that's caused this exponential effect, right? And we can't forget that the network effect has really had a huge play here. The internet and mobile communications has probably been one of the biggest drivers for exponential change in the world entirely over the last 50 years. Yeah, computers, internet, mobile communications, yeah. It's okay, everything's kind of a riff on someone else's idea, and that's okay. Right? Thank you for the question, Alex. Any more questions? Well, I'm sticking around for a while, so come and have a chat to me, yeah? I'd like to thank you very much, but before I go, I want to leave you with one thought, and it's from the great Eleanor Roosevelt. Kind of a badass. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. None of us would be here if we didn't dream bigger than we're told. We're all rebels, and the rebellion comes in our dreams. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Nick. That was inspiring. Frankly, I've got a list of about 100 questions here. I hope you're sticking around for a long time afterwards. But the notion of what if really stuck with me, and I hope it stuck with all of you. The power of asking what if at the right time in the right place really does change the world. And I would like to think that AC Online is one of those questions. What if we turn this into a campus? What if we elevate this? What if we allow greater access, not just to the learners here in Ottawa, the learners in Pembroke, the learners in Perth, excuse me. I get my P's mixed up sometimes. But around the province, around the world even. We can change the world with what we're trying to accomplish here. And thank you for bringing that home. And I'll leave my other questions for later. But again, thank you very much. And how do you top all of that? How do you end all of this? Prizes. I'd like to invite Sarah up to the stage here to help pass out some prizes. We've got some giveaways. As a reminder, the prizes are being drawn from the learners that registered on Eventbrite, both in-person and live stream attendees. The giveaways include 2 iPads, Beat headphones, and a Toronto weekend experience for 2. So, Sarah?
Thank you. And Nicholas, thank you for that very inspiring talk. It's kind of one of those like mind-blowing thought processes that you don't even know where to begin now that you've heard it, and where it ends is a whole other conversation. But it's really wonderful that we've had people join us here at the campus to be at the launch, and then of course we were streaming this live the whole time, and we had a number of people following us that way. So I would like to announce the winner of a few of our prizes. So we had an exclusive online prize for anyone who was joining us virtually, and that was a pair of Beat headphones. And so the folks who are the winner, did you know he had this skill? I didn't know I had this skill. I don't know. You need to like get the flourish. Yeah, with a tan, that's right. All right, you have to remember that. He's not going to let that go, you know, right? We will be in touch. We have all the contact information for those folks who are not with us today, but the winner of the Beats headphones is Melanie Kayer. All right, so that's Melanie Kayer. So we also have an iPad to give away to another online participant and registrant. And again, we have that contact information, so we will be in touch directly. And that winner is Suzanne McIntosh. All right. And we have a on-site iPad winner from folks who were registered and attended today. And that lucky individual is Jeffrey Bradley. Jeffrey Bradley. Did we lose Jeffrey? Oh, there he is. Congratulations. All right, and then we have one other experience giveaway, and because this is about experience, and we wanted to try and join that together. So this particular prize is a Toronto experience including Via Rail tickets for 2, an overnight stay at the Hilton, and 2 Blue Jays tickets. And that lucky winner is Ashley Billings. So please, a round of applause for Ashley. Those folks who are online will be in touch with them. There's Ashley. You're very welcome. Thank you, Ashley. There's an envelope somewhere, yes. I promise we didn't just make it up. All right, so I will pass it back for some closing remarks, and again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. And the good news is I believe the trains are running again. Well, and now that the prizes have been awarded, I have a special guest appearance for someone that holds AC Online very dearly to his heart. During the special guest's time at Algonquin College, he's worked tirelessly to deliver progressive initiatives and direction for the once Center for Continuing Online Learning to transition into our new AC Online. Admired by AC Online staff and facilitators, this individual's dedication has been exceptionally inspirational throughout his time at the college. He has led the college in a successful transition to the Brightspace LMS platform and the achievement of the number 1 position in Canada for online learning. The special guest's home position is at the college since 2016 as the Dean of AC Online, formerly CCOL. And he has now come back from parental leave to join us for today's event. So I would like to welcome Patrick Deavy to the stage to deliver closing remarks. Welcome back, sir. Knock him dead.
Thank you very much. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm here, really. Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you. I'm very excited to be here. No, literally, I don't think I've been out of the house for 2 months. I got a haircut, shaved. It's awesome, and I don't think I've had to wear a suit for 2 months either. Actually, do I have any? No. Okay, good. We're good. And thank you for this. This is an exciting day. This is a culmination of years of work that predates me, from employees that also predate me at the college. We had a dream, going back to the last comments that were made by our keynote. Our dream was to create an online campus, and here we are. So we are living the futurist dream, and we're going to keep on dreaming. I just want to, I don't know if my wife asked, by the way, this event goes on until 9 p.m. tonight, okay? Thank you. I just wanted to say that I want to point out a couple of individuals that helped make this happen. I want to thank my fellow academic deans and the executive team as well for not laughing at me when I first brought this idea to them. They were behind this idea from day one. So from the Deans and Directors Council to ACIT, it's without the support of the leadership team, this wouldn't happen here today. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge and thank you for that. The AC Online staff for being advocates for our learners, and you have been for years. It's tough finding solutions for online learners in an environment that's optimized for full-time on campus. And you fought that fight, and here we are today breaking new ground and advocating for our learners, so congratulations to you. And a special shout out to Alicia Kirk for her role in helping coordinate and transition to AC Online as well. Thank you, Alicia. And finally, to Sarah Monroe, the acting dean who stepped in for me when I was asked to take first an acting vice president role and then a whole other acting role. Essentially, from day one on her first job, I gave her the initiative to launch AC Online. So, hey, here we are today, and thank you for that, and congrats. So I just want to leave some parting thoughts here, and I swear you won't hear from me for another 5 months after I swear. So bear with me. So back to today. This launch of AC Online, what we're doing here is that the college is affirming that it places online learning just as much importance as the learning activities that happen on the other physical campuses. And I want you to think about that. This is rarefied air in higher education. I know I've studied this field for 20 plus years because what oftentimes happens is online learning is treated as secondary. It's the option that others go to when the other options aren't available. That's not what's happening here today. We're saying that everything is on equal ground. And that's very special, and that's a leadership position that Algonquin has taken. And I want to make sure that everyone understands the impact that this has and will have on current, future, and returning students, because our goal is to create the best personalized, flexible, and supportive online learning experience in Canada. And it starts with at campus. And now here's the fun part, because almost as important, AC Online is about being a catalyst for change for this college. You see, we're not the first college or university to have established an online entity similar to what we've done here today. But for the most part, what happens is those brands continue to rely and need the physical campus to give the services that they say they're having. And that's not what an online campus is about. By launching AC Online, Algonquin is committing to all our learners, regardless of modality, that we will provide the same core support services they would expect to have on any physical campus, whenever they want them, however they want them, wherever they happen to be. And this might sound familiar because it's etched all over our learner-driven plan. So as a call to action, and then I'll disappear for 5 months, I ask that you consider the opportunities and challenges that this new campus will present to your departments, to the services that you offer, and to the work that you do. Will certain policies and practices need to evolve? What kind of resources or training are we going to need? What are the gaps that we will need to address to support learners who may never set foot on any of our physical campuses, or in Canada for that matter? The staff at AC Online will be happy to assist you to figure that out. Again, I'll disappear. And what's more, the solutions that we co-construct will benefit all students, regardless of the mode of instruction, and in doing so, help fulfill that learner-driven plan. So to close, I see a very bright future for AC Online. I'm very excited and jealous that I'm not here right now, but it's all good. I know it's in excellent hands. We're going to leverage this new campus to enhance our online learning success services. We're going to expand our personalized programming options, including micro-credentials. We're going to augment the visibility of the college in areas that we've never thought of playing for before, that's nationally and globally. We're going to invest in research and innovative educational technologies, and of course, we're going to continue to be a trusted partner with the college community to assist with their online training needs. So on behalf of the entity formerly known as the Center for Continuing and Online Learning, welcome to AC Online.
You do a mic drop and then you walk.
That's it? I don't want to break it. Is IT in someone's portfolio?
Cleaning up after you again, Patrick. That wraps up the show, folks. There's still some food hanging. Feel free to and lots of water over here to your right. Have some conversation and have some fun. But have a good afternoon and good weekend.